Hey guys, it's Chandler, and welcome to the Healing Heroes.
I promise you.
I'm Chandler Stroud, an executive, wife, and busy mom of two, who after years of living with anxiety, health struggles, and an unshakable feeling like I should be happier, made a profound discovery that changed everything. Join me on a journey where unexpected paths lead to healing and more happiness. On this show, we'll explore unconventional ways to unlock more joy in your own life with the help of my very own healers and trusted advisors, the Healing Heroes. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Healing Heroes podcast. I'm your host, Chandler, and today we are talking about accountability as the tool you didn't know you needed to cultivate more self-compassion. And of course, whenever I talk accountability on this show, I do it with my accountability hero and friend, Bonnie Heim. So I'm thrilled to welcome her back with us today. I'm guessing the idea of accountability serving as a gateway for more self-compassion might sound slightly counterintuitive to many of the busy female listeners out there, especially those who have tried holding themselves to fad diets, New Year's resolutions, and more. But bear with us, because we're about to go deep on why accountability often serves as the first step in unlocking more joy and fulfillment each day in very surprising ways. I like to joke that for me, in retrospect, accountability was the equivalent of Mr. Miyagi's wax on, wax off from the Karate Kid movies. It didn't always feel like I was progressing or going anywhere if I focused on the individual days. But as weeks passed, those small decisions and choices for myself were sneakily behind the scenes, creating levels of self-compassion and change, both physically and mentally, in ways I couldn't see until more time had passed. It truly was the foundation of the work that I did to heal on my journey with the rest of my heroes. So I'm very excited for today's conversation. But before we dive in, let me offer a quick refresher on Bonnie's background for new listeners joining us today. Bonnie has changed hundreds of lives as a lifestyle coach with All In, a program that focuses on accountability, one-on-one personalized coaching, and tools that inspire a complete and lasting shift toward good health and fitness. After personally succeeding on the program, she was tapped to coach, where her focus with clients is to build a lasting lifestyle through movement and clean fuel, and to help readjust their mindset and approach to one of positivity and optimism. Bonnie, it's so good to see you again. Thank you for being here.
Oh, Chandler, I love any time we get together, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Bonnie, we often think of accountability as something external, a boss, a tracker, a deadline. What does it look like when accountability comes from a place of self-love rather than self-criticism?
So we often think of accountability as meaning something of like beating ourselves into being a better person or better habits or creating a better lifestyle. But today, what I really wanted to talk about is what if we flip that script and think of it as an act of compassion? So what does it mean to hold ourselves accountable? From guilt, not from punishment, but from deep self-awareness and truly care. Taking it from the inside out. Whereas I want you to think it's not a report card, but more importantly, the way I look at it and what I discovered personally is that it's more of a mirror to kind of reflect upon what's working, what's not, and what do I need? When I hold myself accountable with compassion, and I love this word because you taught me this word, and I don't use it often enough, I get curious, not critical. And I feel if we can normalize missing a day or changing our mind or needing support and understanding that that's okay to ask for help, that's where the growth begins, if that makes sense.
It does. No, I mean, I think that's right. And I love that you paired curiosity with compassion, because I do think that that is the key to unlocking that kind of self-understanding and self-love when you just try to understand where those drivers are coming from, those behaviors, those choices. I think information is power, and you just see yourself in a new light.
I think the curiosity is the key, because for so many years, I know I personally went through life using the word I can't, or I couldn't, or I'm not able to. And when you realize, you become curious, why is this not working for me? Why am I perhaps not succeeding? When we reframe that to what do I really need right now, instead of what should I be doing or what I'm doing wrong, it kind of creates that space to check in instead of check out or give up. And, I always say it's not about being perfect, but it's about staying honest without shame or judgment or that negativity or that little voice on our shoulder, that's always coming at us. So compassionate accountability to me is caring about myself enough to stay committed and not throwing in that towel, not because I hate where I am, but instead I'm excited about and I love where I'm going. And I think that's really key. I always say don't get too far ahead of yourself, but yet I want you to look toward that finish line, what your goals are. I want you to be able to manifest the life you want to create, the habits you want to have, and the future that you want to live.
I think to build on that, can you walk us through that shift from I should be doing this to I get to do this because I care about myself? Like, What happens in that reframe?
So I think if you reframe it as support and ownership and honoring your needs, not as a punishment for failing, but as a practice of staying connected to what matters most to you. So, for example, instead of saying I didn't work out today because I'm so lazy, or I can't do this, or I don't want to, a self-compassionate accountability sounds like I didn't move today, or I didn't move my body today. So what got in the way? That's where we get curious. Did I need rest, perhaps? Do I need to change something to make it easier tomorrow? What can I tweak in my schedule? What grace can I offer myself to understand that I always feel, truthfully, Chandler, there's a reason behind why we do things. So we need to become more curious and gentle with ourselves in order to create this lifestyle that we do indeed want to live and that will impact our lives so positively. That's the way I look at it, and that's the way I truly feel about it.
No, I agree. Why do you think women especially struggle with this idea that being consistent means being harsh with themselves, often beating themselves up to stay on track? Like, is that something that's ingrained in culture, environment, society, what they learn growing up? It's just really interesting because I do get this sense that women are harder on themselves when they've missed a day, or when women fall off the wagon and find themselves struggling with being consistent. I think I think we're so self-critical, and I'm just curious where you think that comes from.
I always say I'm very competitive, but I'm not competitive with others. I'm competitive with myself. And I think most of us are, because I think of women as being drivers. We are the nurturers. We take care of everything. We have so much piled upon our shoulders. And I think if we understand, and what I always emphasize to my clients is, it is okay to take a step back and catch our breath. In fact, I encourage it. I think we need it. I think everyone needs to understand that, I was guilty of, if I messed up once, I was done. I was absolutely done years ago. And, it's just not meant to be. It's just not for me. But yet it is. And when I have clients who are like that and have been speaking to themselves like that, that's been their inner dialogue for so many years, it's really hard to break out of that. So how do we do that? We do that with baby steps and not looking too far ahead, but leading with compassion. And that's where accountability does come in. Again, it's not about shame. It's not about guilt. It's not about punishment. It's about the support and the foundation underneath you to understand that one misstep does not blow your whole day or your plan or the intentions that you've set for yourself. It's more so about just understanding that every move that we make, that whether it's positive or negative, is a learning experience. And from that, we gain the balance, we gain the confidence, and we understand more about ourselves. I always say this journey is more for your inside than the outside. Yes, it's a transformation completely in how you look at workouts, at food choices, health is wealth, etc. But it's really more about understanding what makes you tick. And that's the most beautiful thing of all, because you understand and you come to really love yourself so much more when you understand that it's okay. We're not perfect. We're going to take steps back before we take those steps forward. And I think that's vitally important for all of us to understand. And most importantly, ease up on ourselves a little bit so that we're not the hammer. Like we're not just always, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I do this right? You can, and we will, but it's just going to take time. And that's where you said with your journey, personally, you don't see, everyone wants the fast results. We all do. We want those, that bite of success, and we want to reach that finish line, but it takes time. And we've had these habits, and we've had this negative chatter perhaps, and we've had the dialogue with ourselves as to what we can and can't do. And once we come from an area of, as I said, utilizing like a mirror to reflect what's working and what's not, and taking a look deep inside ourselves, then we come out of the other side stronger, better, more balanced, more whole, if you will, and really ready to give from a place of love and care and support.
Yeah, I love that you made the connection back to what you're ultimately trying to achieve, because when you can make that connection back to, this is what I want, and I love myself enough to go for these goals, even though I didn't get a workout in today. What got in the way? I love that question. Ask yourself why. What got in the way? And have compassion for being human. You're allowed to make mistakes, and loving yourself for even trying in the first place, and figuring out ways to love yourself even better the next day.
Right.
And not coming from that place of self-judgment. I think that really is critical, because that's where we start letting ourselves off the hook for being inconsistent when we maintain our focus and vision on the longer term goal and really anchor there versus being good or bad in this black or white interpretation of our actions. Like, there are gray areas. And I think a perfect example, I've been doing accountability with you and all in now for many years, 6, 7 years. And there are days that I've had to miss a workout. I think initially fewer, because I was in this mindset of like, you can't miss, that makes you bad, this is your goal. But especially this past year, as I've worked to heal my self-worth, I've been much more flexible in allowing myself to say, you know what, there's something that I need to do that's more important today. Like when I was moving my family back into our house, and, I already knew I was getting like 10,000 steps up and down stairs, but I just had so much on my plate. I knew I didn't want to beat myself up over also not going for a run in the morning. So I just said, if I don't get the workout in this week, that's okay. If I'm feeling it, I'll do some quick yoga, or I'll just count steps, and that'll be enough. And I'm going to be okay with that.
That's absolutely the key. And I love that you're okay with that, because I'm okay with that. And that's what I will tell clients is, we know you are active. Like when you're on the go, when you're traveling, we can easily count steps. When you're moving as you were, when you're clearing out a garage, closets, whatever, going up and down stairs, active with your kids at their field day for school. Those are active recovery days. And I use the word recovery more from a mental aspect than physical, because you're on the move. You are going nonstop. And especially at the end of the year, I have so many clients who are young moms, and they are getting kids off to camp. They are, refereeing field days. They are running everywhere nonstop. And I'm like, catch your breath. You're doing fine. We don't need another workout during the day. you're on the run nonstop. So it's all good. And that makes me smile because I have to the gym. I have to the gym. Workouts feel great, and workouts are my therapy, and they are my release. And I truly do love them and live for them. But I can also now take a step back and understand that a walk with my husband on a Sunday afternoon is perfect. We like to call it a debrief. Anything that can help me mentally as well as physically, that's what a workout is about. And so when we offer ourselves taking our foot off that pedal for a little bit, that's when I think clients have that aha moment that, okay, it doesn't have to be an all or nothing attitude. And that applies in every aspect with regard to accountability, with our program at least, whether it's your food choices, you don't have to be spot on perfect all the time, because let's be honest, we're human and we're not going to be. Same thing when it comes to our workouts, same things when it comes to hydration, caring for our kids. We're going to mess up at times, and then we're going to be like total champs on other days. And that's the winner, when you rate yourself as a mom, did I get a 10 today? Maybe not, but I got a 7, and that's pretty good. One kid's going to give you a 7, the other's going to give you a 9. But in terms of the accountability, even with
or a 2 if you're lucky,
exactly, or a 0. But you have to enjoy life. You have to enjoy what you're doing. And accountability for me is such a rock solid answering the question, what do I need? What do I need today? What can I give myself today? How can I take care of myself? What better ways can I nurture myself today? And that's what I really want clients. I don't want them to think of, as I said, I have to be spot on every minute, every day. You don't. You just need to catch your breath and do what's in your best interest. And that's all we're looking for, not perfection.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm curious though, what are some sneaky ways that guilt and self-punishment show up even in quote unquote healthy routines, like tracking food or movement or daily habits? I'm sure you see this all the time as a coach.
I do. So, we were talking about there might be days where you're not doing well. Let's say you're on vacation. What I always tell clients when they're on vacation is we are looking for maintenance. We are not looking for perfection. We are not looking to reduce. We are looking forward to you to live life, enjoy life, and be present with where you are. It shows up, for example, if you've gone out for dinner the night before, and let's say you've had a little food that's heavier than you normally have, and the next day you're not feeling that great. So you feel that you need to restrict and punish yourself. Oh, I can't have this. Absolutely not. What I always say to clients is after a night out, after a flex meal, after you are coming off of a vacation, we simply get right back into the saddle and we start nurturing our body, which is the term that I love the most, with the foods and the movement and the hydration that's going to have us feeling our absolute best. There is no punishment. There is no restriction. There is no guilting ourselves. You just get back into your routine, because this is, and I say it, and I will say it a million times, a lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's not a hop on, hop off. It is something that's meant to last for the rest of your life. And so when you are in that healthy routine, it just feels so natural and it's so seamless, Chandler, that you want to get back to the foods that make you feel your best. Or you want to go out for that run or take that yoga class. You want to get back to center, and you want to continue to get that foundation underneath your body and your feet so that you can just continue to rock this lifestyle you're living.
What's one belief about accountability that you think needs to die?
I think with regard to All In and our program, or anyone intrigued by accountability as a program, they think of us as drill sergeants, or that you're going to a boot camp. And it couldn't be further from the truth, because as you know, Chandler, I wake up with you first thing in the morning. You'll have a morning message from me. And my hope is that it's going to make you smile, make you think, or make you curious. And we are positive. It's all about positivity. And that's my approach as coaching. And I lead with a lot of compassion, as you know, because I've been where my clients stand. So I think that's one key thing that clients and people who are interested in accountability coaching need to understand. We are your teammate. We are your best friend. We are your buddy. And we are your most avid cheerleader every step of the way.
I'm curious, Bonnie, how can a woman tell the difference between discomfort that comes from growth versus punishment disguised as discipline?
So I always say you have to get uncomfortable in order to experience growth. And
agreed.
And I didn't realize that. And so for me, something as simple as, and I think a lot of my clients, if you haven't been working out and you're stepping into a gym again, that's intimidating. And that's uncomfortable. And I remember walking in and kind of looking around but knowing that it was good for me, that uncomfortable feeling and that out of place feeling, which none of us ever like to be a part of or involved in, was really going to be good for me and was really going to help change me. So I think that aspect, if that makes sense, or that analogy example, I still have that uncomfortable feeling thinking about it when I walked in the gym again for the first time. I love to work out, and I will work out probably 7 days a week. That's just me. I just like to move, and it makes me happy. And I know some people will have asked me before, why do you do that? You'll always get the unsolicited questions and advice from people like, why do you do that? Or if I'm out to dinner and I don't perhaps want to drink, why? Why aren't you drinking? And it's something that I think when you realize what helps you feel your best and your strongest and most fit, that what might make others feel uncomfortable or view it as discomfort for you is actually what brings me the most comfort. And that's where the accountability for myself comes into play, because I've come to a point in my life, and what I want my clients to come to a point in their life understanding is that you have the control. So you have the control to understand that your growth is going to come from uncomfortable places and positions that you will be placed in. But you have the decision and you have the power to choose what's best for you. And I think, truthfully, speaking of discomfort, that was one of my things for years that I was very uncomfortable doing, was saying no to people and setting up boundaries and explaining myself. And the growth that I have gained from being uncomfortable or experiencing discomfort has given me, in fact, strength to be able to verbalize and communicate why I like to work out, why it works for me, why I like to eat clean foods, why I love travel. I mean, anything that people might look at you and question or view as being extreme or obsessed, I think you need to take a step back and understand that it's individualized, and you're going to find through accountability and staying true to yourself that out of that discomfort will come your strongest moments, your most powerful passions will be discovered. And I think I always say get uncomfortable to be comfortable, because that's where I found my most dynamic changes in my life and my lifestyle, is really getting uncomfortable.
I totally agree with that. And I think we obviously talk a lot about on the show about how discomfort is key for growth. But I think what you're saying overall is really important for women to hear, because there is a difference between being disciplined and punishing themselves. And it comes from this place of loving yourself through the process.
I've had clients who will say, oh, I didn't get enough in today, I'll make it up tomorrow. And what I want them to understand is, first of all, they're kind of berating themselves that they didn't get enough in today. Mm-hmm. There's no need to make it up tomorrow. You don't need to punish yourself tomorrow for what you didn't do today. And I think that's a key point that everyone needs to understand is we are all trying to do our very best. And let's be honest, there are days where we could have done better. I will be the first to say that. But I'm never going to say, you got to do more, because we're competitive enough with ourselves and with each other that I really, really feel like clients need to understand that adding more on, or let's say you got 20 minutes in the morning, you want to do more in the afternoon. If you want to, that's fine. If that's something that brings you joy, that's fine. But if you're doing it to punish yourself, or that you feel the need to add more onto your plate, it's just not necessary.
I agree. And I actually think we're saying similar things. It really is all in the framing, right? So I think punishment and discipline are very different based on the interpretation of those things. Like in your example, if you miss a day and say, I'm going to get more tomorrow, you can punish yourself and berate yourself for falling short today. Or you can look at it as, wow, I'm so disciplined that I'm still aware of this goal I am trying to achieve. And instead of looking at it through the negative space of I'll just make up for it tomorrow, maybe it's like, what can I do today, given I didn't get that workout in this morning, to continue loving myself towards my goal? And maybe it's choosing not to have dessert tonight at dinner because you didn't get that workout in, but it's coming from a place of self-love and commitment to the end result versus this place of punishment and shame and guilt that I think we're so quick to access as women.
I also think that what I like to think of it as is a self-check-in versus self-punishment. You know, like look at what you did yesterday or look at what you did this morning and celebrate that. It's the difference between discipline and a devotion to yourself. And if you're caring about yourself truthfully in the best possible ways, the little things are not going to make that big a difference. And when we come from that attitude of, yes, I can, yes, I will, and yes, I do, I think it's really vitally important for us to bring that positivity in and understand that we can just build upon it rather than view it as long-term punishment, operating from a place of fear, and instead, you know, not focusing so much on perfectionism, but what our body needs emotionally and physically at that time.
What kinds of language do you encourage your clients to use when they miss a day, skip a workout, or don't follow their nutrition plan?
I think that's one of the most important things that I personally discovered, and I know many of my clients do, is that just stop that negative chatter from the get-go. Like for myself personally, I just say when I find my mind going somewhere that's not positive and I'm going, I call it like down the rabbit hole, I'll just say the word positive 3 times to myself and flip that script. And then I do my best to move on. And it usually works. Years ago, I would have gone right down that rabbit hole. Like,
well, I think it's hard to stop yourself in the moment and catch yourself doing it. And I always say that I think in most cases, these stories we tell ourselves are so subconscious. We're not even aware of what's on loop in our own heads. So I think the fact that you have the awareness to stop in the moment and flip that script is really commendable.
I think though, truthfully, the first thing that comes out of my mouth, which I think you know, is, okay, let's catch our breath and let's offer ourselves some grace. Rather than completely coming at yourself negatively, let's just relax. Understand that you haven't messed up. Nothing is ruined. The day is not done. In the next breath you take, we can turn things around. Everyone is so quick to throw in the towel. Everyone is so quick to chastise ourselves and come at ourselves and, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. When we come with as we would speak to others, as we would speak to friends, kindness, care. What would you tell a friend if a friend said to you, if I said to you, Chandler, oh my God, I didn't get a workout in yesterday. I suck. I'm the absolute worst person in the world. You would come at me with compassion. You would say, are you kidding? Did you see what you've done all week long? I see you out there running. It's about the love, the care, the thing that we would say to our children, things we would say to our mom, our dad. It is coming from your heart. It's coming from a place of warmth. And that tone that we take with everyone else is what we need to adopt as our own inner language and inner voice.
What's the difference between being in a rut and being in a season of restoration? How do you coach someone through that without pushing or letting them slide into this space of totally numbing out?
We just need to start with small steps. We need to pick things back up again. We need to go back and look at, for example, I had a client the other day who had kind of gotten off track for a while and I wasn't really seeing the photos of pics and things. And I said, you know what, let's look at our grocery list again. It was a Sunday. So I'm like, let's go grocery shopping. Let's stock the house with really great things. So we're in a rut and we're going to lift ourselves out of that with the decisions that are going to be in our best interest for the week ahead. And maybe it's just for the next meal ahead, or maybe it's the day ahead. So we'll start there. I always say we're going to take things back to basics. Let's go back to square one. If I have clients that stay with me for a long time, and I'm really blessed with that fact. And I love that because our relationships are so strong and so good, and we know each other very, very well. But on a journey like this, when you're on it for a while, you can definitely get into a rut. And so We will take things back to basics. We will go back to square one, whether it's in terms of movement, whether it's, as I said, in terms of their food choices, if it's their mindset, if it's their schedule, what can we readjust with your schedule? I've had a couple clients this summer who have come in for a quick refresh and then they duck back out. And that's fine. But when they're in and they're not putting the work in, that can be tricky because there are lots of excuses that come onto the table. But bottom line, they have to understand that I'm not with them 24/7. And so in order for clients to pull themselves out of the rut and get toward a kind of a restoration moving forward again, we need that honesty. We need to admit that, okay, maybe I didn't eat the pizza after the soccer game the other night. Maybe I didn't eat pizza at lunch before the soccer game at night. It's just the question of going back to what's in your best interest and understanding that doing what's best for you. I know it's hard, and I know when you're busy and things are piling up on your schedule, it can be tricky, but at the same time, you need to normalize that it's okay to pick yourself back up, set yourself right, and continue on the foundation. Sometimes we need that reminder that discipline and devotion to yourself is the biggest mindset shift that we can help. And that comes with consistency. And, a journey like this, as you know, I've said before, sometimes people can think it's boring, but I always say boring is good because it means you're in a routine and it means you've created healthy habits and it means that you are taking accountability for what your needs are personally, emotionally, and physically. And so it's staying connected to what really matters with where you want to go, what you want to be, and picking yourself back up and knowing that you can do that at any time.
I think it's really good that you tie it back to self-compassion and what we're talking about today, because I do think that's the key difference. For any listeners that are confused by this concept of it's okay to have a piece of cake at your son's birthday versus the lack of consistency you're talking about, where 5-6 days in a row, there's all these excuses for why the workout didn't happen or that they're eating pizza every night for dinner. Like, there's a big difference between those two scenarios. One is giving yourself grace on the way to meeting your goals, right? Because we're not perfect. But the other, I feel like, starts to show a pattern of disalignment or unalignment with what you say you want to achieve for yourself and not being committed to that kind of self-love to achieve your goals, right? And I think that's where the self-compassion comes into play. And I agree with you. I think it's fine to maybe say at the end of the day, you know what? I just didn't pick the right time in my life to refocus on this goal. Like, it's just not something that I can sustainably march toward right now. So thank you, Bonnie. I'm going to put a pin in this and I'll come back to you in a few weeks when I can realistically get back in the saddle and make this commitment to myself. And that's a form of self-compassion and self-love too, right? But I think it's important to understand the distinction and that it's possible to love yourself through both of those scenarios. It's just in the reframing and coming from a place of kindness. I love, Bonnie, that you are framing it that way, because it's almost a page out of hero Katie Wee's book, where one of the first things she does is have you list everything you like about yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think so often we don't take time to really think about, like, oh, I love my height, or I have a great smile, or I'm really thoughtful when it comes to friends and family. I mean, when's the last time, listeners, you have made a list of all of the things that you appreciate and love about yourself? I think it's such a powerful exercise. It's one of the best ways to unlock more compassion and love for yourself. And so I love that you made a nod to the mindset shift that happens through the accountability process, because I think it's so important.
And one other thing I'll add to build upon Katie Wee, because I love little Katie Wee, is to add upon what you just said. She would say to me, when you get up in the morning, look in the mirror, and do you ever tell yourself, you are beautiful. You look great. You're so smart. I mean, just look in the mirror and compliment yourself rather than like whipping by that mirror and not taking a glance. So when you can, and that's tricky to do. I don't know whether you've ever done it, but if you look in the mirror and find something that you love about yourself physically, there are a lot of things we might like about ourselves emotionally, but I am very hard on myself physically. I think we all tend to be. So if you can stand in the mirror and pause and take a moment to tell yourself what you love about yourself or how beautiful you are, I think that's a really great, wonderful, uplifting, and yes, beautiful way to begin a day.
Couldn't agree more. How do you help women build trust with their bodies again, especially when they've had years of ignoring or overriding their needs in service of work, caregiving, or perfectionism?
With very small, confident steps forward. Body dysmorphia is something that, I remember when I first began, I think I mentioned this to you, I didn't even like to look at myself in the mirror. I didn't like to meet my eyes in the mirror. My eyes, not just my body, but my eyes, because I knew I wasn't doing the very best that I could for myself. So with women, it's very tricky. And it is the way I coach is I lead with kindness and I focus on all the positive things they are doing for themselves and understanding that this change and this transformation from the inside out, not only on the physical appearance, but the internal, especially when it comes to their bodies, it's going to take some time. So let's focus on the positive aspects of your body. What do you like the most? Look at what your body achieved today. Look at how beautifully you're fueling your body. How glorious are those summertime fresh fruits and veggies? Doesn't that make you feel good? And hydration. Let's set a hydration goal. Oh my God, you got 80 ounces of water in today? How amazing is that? Focusing on, you know me, Chandler, I'm all about positivity because there's so much negativity in this world that we don't need to bring any more of it in. And so when we can focus on the little things that my clients are doing for themselves each day that they might not see, but that I can bring to their attention, I'm absolutely going to do it.
Yeah, no, I know. It's so great, Bonnie. You're such a positive force, both in my life and in the world. And I'm so grateful for the work you're doing. And trust me when I say this, like nothing you do comes from this place of toxic positivity either. It's like truly authentic and caring. And I think that's really important to call out for women who really struggle with this, because I do think it takes time to trust yourself, to trust in your body again.
I agree. I always say I don't want accountability. I don't want clients to use accountability as a weapon, but instead as a way to stay connected to what we want or what I want. And I think that's so vitally important. I always say, going back to how we speak to our friends and family, like what would it look like to hold myself accountable the way I'd support a best friend, right? We would be cheering them on as I do with you and you do with me and lifting each other up as the healing heroes do. So it's listening to your body, outsourcing trust to, the dedication and support and people who love you and lift you up. And yeah.
Bonnie, this has been great. I think just to close us out, what's one thing you wish every woman listening could hear and believe about herself today when it comes to being disciplined or consistent and cultivating more self-compassion along the way?
That nothing is out of your reach. And yes, I speak from experience. You can change your life for the better in the blink of an eye. You honestly can. And you can do so with kindness that you show to others. You're going to turn that around and give to yourself. You can stay connected to what matters the most to you. And there are always ways to move forward. The negativity needs to be kicked to the curb. You need to focus on the things that bring you absolute joy, because that's the lifestyle that you're going to want to live, not now, but as I've always liked to say, far into the future. And most importantly, understanding that you are worth the time and care and investment, because it is an investment that you're making into yourself. And so holding yourself accountable, I just want to say again, it's not about shame or punishment or guilt. It is loving where you're going and focusing on the bright future you're creating. And yes, we're doing that one step of it at a time, together, confidently, compassionately, and with the ultimate care. I think the twists and turns and the ups and downs and the non-linear route that we are all on in life is what makes it the most exciting. And because let's be honest, being on the straight and narrow is kind of boring. And so you want to, every single curveball that's thrown your way, that's where we learn the most. And I think that's one of the things that I love about this journey and that I learned about my journey, and I'm still learning about myself, is that the hard parts, the tough parts, the tricky parts, the dicey parts, that's where you gain the most knowledge about yourself. And from that, I mean from the inside out. And as I've said, this journey, most think of it as a transformational physical journey. And yeah, indeed it is. But most importantly, it's coming home to you and coming home to discover what matters most for you and to you. And I love being a part of it.
Me too, Bonnie. And I'm glad that you're a part of it with me. So thank you.
Me too.
Bonnie, this was so much fun. Thank you for being back with us to talk about accountability and self-compassion and the impact that it can have on so many lives. I appreciate it as always, and it was so fun catching up with you.
I love my time with you, and I love what we always discuss. And most importantly, I hope our listeners understand that they need to be kind with themselves, take care with themselves, and always remain curious about the beautiful changes that they can bring and add to their lives. Nothing is unattainable or out of their reach.
I think that's a valuable and beautiful message to leave with listeners. So thank you for that, Bonnie. And to those tuning in, if you enjoyed today's conversation, please share it with friends and don't forget to subscribe. You can also visit healingheroespodcast.com to get resources, meet the heroes, and share your ideas for future episodes. Thanks for listening, everyone. And until next time, remember, be curious, be courageous, and be kind to yourself. You've got this.